Subjective reality versus objective truth. The challenges of human perception of reality stem from the fact that we may not be fully equipped to perceive reality as it is, if such a definitive reality, in human understanding, even exists. We are limited by our sensory apparatus and mental constructs, only capable of comprehending a fraction of the universe's vast complexities. This raises an unsettling question: if our perception is indeed limited, and reality is beyond our full understanding, does a human-conceived reality actually exist? Or is our reality simply an illusion, a construct of our mind shaped by our limited senses and experience? This philosophical quandary underpins many of the discrepancies we find in contemporary ideas about reality, truth, and perception. Our biological nature is such that, from our animalistic origins, we have developed functions and activities not typically associated with animals. Humans were not evolutionarily designed to integrate functions or launch spacecraft. To complicate matters further, our consciousness operates in a way that was fundamentally formed for entirely different purposes: escaping predators, tracking prey. This primordial programming often conflicts with the intricate demands of our contemporary world. Despite our immense progress, we are a product of a distant past, wired for survival rather than calculus or space travel. This disconnect, between the demands of modern human life and the primal, evolutionary origins of our cognition, is a key discrepancy that pervades contemporary thought and understanding. Imagine creating a computer intended for a completely different purpose, say, as an automated vacuum cleaner, and then attempting to convert that machine into a quantum supercomputer. This analogy captures the sensation that human consciousness, in its primal, evolutionary form, seems ill-suited for the tasks and goals that our rapidly advancing civilization imposes. Our minds, originally designed for survival in nature, now must grapple with abstract mathematical concepts, the nuances of global diplomacy, or the complexities of quantum physics. This is one of the primary discrepancies in contemporary thought. How do we reconcile the vast gap between the initial purpose of our mental faculties and the lofty challenges of our current world? One way humanity has grappled with the mismatch between evolutionary objectives and the demands of civilization is through pretense, the ability to create an impression or illusion of civility. Complicated words, intellectual facial expressions, and the like serve as veneers to suggest a sophistication that often belies our primitive underpinnings. Beneath the trappings of civilization, our suits, our degrees, our high-tech devices, we remain, in many ways, simply apes. We adopt a sophisticated facade, a form of peacocking, that conceals the profound dissonance between our biological roots and the societal roles we have created. This disparity between our primitive selves and our performative personas underscores a key discrepancy in contemporary ideas about the human condition. It's not that primate minds are stupid, quite the contrary. We often underestimate how intelligent and human-like many species can be, from our close relatives, the primates, to birds like crows, and even octopuses. These animals exhibit a vast array of cognitive abilities that we've historically thought were uniquely human, such as problem-solving, tool use, and complex social behavior. This realization forces us to reconsider our place in the natural world and highlights yet another discrepancy in contemporary thought. It serves as a humbling reminder that we are not the only intelligent beings, nor the solitary masters of cognition, as we once believed ourselves to be. Our perception of intelligence and consciousness, grounded in our anthropocentric worldview, is a fundamental mismatch with the surprising cognitive capabilities found across the animal kingdom. The body of evidence showcasing the extraordinary intellectual capabilities of animals is ever expanding. From intricate communication systems to complex social structures, new discoveries about animal cognition and behavior are continually emerging. It's conceivable that there's still so much we don't know. Who knows, ants may be composing and declaiming poetry, while whales might practice a form of religion. These hypotheticals might seem fanciful, but they illustrate the fundamental issue: we're not equipped to fully comprehend or translate other species' communication or behaviors. Some communicate through complex pheromone systems, while others use ultrasonic frequencies, both realms far removed from human sensory and cognitive capacities. This underscores a profound discrepancy between our anthropocentric understanding of intelligence and consciousness and the vastly different forms these might take in the animal kingdom. The gaps in our understanding are as much a reflection of our cognitive limitations as they are of the rich complexity of life on Earth. It's hardly surprising that our consciousness generates a simplified, and indeed, a distorted picture of reality, rather than performing a direct analysis of it. This is akin to the so-called interface theory, which proposes our consciousness operates much like a computer interface. Rather than presenting the raw, convoluted data of the world, our minds render a streamlined, user-friendly version to help us navigate through life. However, this is a result of evolutionary selection, a pragmatic solution to survive in a complex world, rather than an intelligent design. Just as a computer interface hides the underlying coding and system complexities, our minds shield us from an overwhelmingly complex reality, often leading to a significant discrepancy between our perception and the actual nature of the universe. If we designed our computers in the same way that human consciousness has evolved, they would likely be quite useless. Imagine transferring the limitations of human memory and consciousness to a computer. The result would be a device that no one would want to use. Such a machine would be inferior even to a simple piece of paper where one could accurately record a string of 100 digits, a task that the human brain would struggle to remember. This underscores the point that evolution had a different set of objectives. It optimized us for survival, not for precision, recall, or analytical prowess that we often require in our modern, information-rich world. These evolutionary compromises highlight yet another discrepancy between the demands of our current civilization and the tools we have inherited from our biological past. Hence, our perception of reality is permanently distorted by our consciousness. Essentially, we each construct a unique, imagined picture of the world. Interestingly, these mental models often differ significantly from person to person. Each of us inhabits our own version of reality. This inherent subjectivity contributes to the difficulty we often face in truly understanding one another. If our computers communicated as variably and subjectively as we do, they would fall far short of their current functionality. This difference between the fluid, often inconsistent nature of human perception and the precise, uniform communication of computers underscores another major discrepancy in our contemporary understanding of reality and the human condition. Considering all of this, in any field, from economics to aesthetics, from nuclear physics to social dynamics, we must take into account that humans are not inherently equipped for the complexities of civilized activity. Our sophisticated facades and occasional flashes of brilliance, sometimes truly accidental, mask this fundamental incongruity. However, these veneers of competence don't alter the underlying truth. We're biologically grounded in a past far removed from the demands of modern civilization. The reality is, much of our success comes not from a deep, intrinsic understanding of our pursuits, but from a combination of luck, trial and error, and our ability to adapt. This reality underscores the discrepancy between the evolutionary tasks for which we are adapted and the goals and ambitions of our contemporary world. Take note that only one out of many startup businesses tends to succeed. It resembles a lottery. This is a poignant illustration of how inept humans can be at effectively planning and navigating within human society. Despite our technological advancements and intellectual prowess, our efforts often yield a success rate no better than chance. Our inbuilt cognitive limitations, a legacy of our evolutionary past, play out on a grand scale in this arena. Even with access to extensive data, computational models, and expert advice, the success of a startup is notoriously hard to predict, underscoring the inefficiency and the discrepancy between our aspirations and our abilities in our contemporary world. One might muse that humanity was designed as a kind of experiment in the universe, an experiment, however, that was inherently inefficient and bound to face numerous stumbling blocks. It's akin to attempting to hammer nails with a microscope, or studying microorganisms with a hammer, using the wrong tools for the wrong tasks. Despite our extraordinary adaptability, the human mind, evolved for survival in the savannah, is now tasked with mastering quantum physics, navigating complex social dynamics, and grappling with profound ethical dilemmas. These tasks, however, are as mismatched with our original evolutionary design as using a microscope to drive nails. The result? An ongoing series of struggles and discrepancies as we wrestle with the contemporary demands of our ever-advancing civilization. In conclusion, the problems inherent in human perception of reality stem from the fact that we are not inherently equipped to perceive reality in its raw form, leading to the unsettling conclusion that there may not be a definitive reality in human understanding. Our propensity for pretense, coupled with the tendency to interpret random successes as a pattern, contributes to an illusion of a manageable reality and our supposed mastery over it. We perceive ourselves as competent actors within this constructed reality, often disregarding the role of chance or the limitations of our cognition. This stark discrepancy between our perception and the nature of the universe underpins many of the confusions and contradictions in our contemporary understanding of reality.